Is it possible to make millions of dollars from email marketing? I mean, it's 2023. Emails are dead, right? I don't know. Stay tuned to find out. World, it's Poopy Pants McGee reporting with Brittany Faith Turner.
You made us a promise last episode.
Yeah.
You promised that this Poopy Pants McGee situation led you to making $3 million.
Yeah.
And you'd share us some tips on email marketing.
Yeah.
I want to hear them.
I will. And
got my notebook out.
Yes. Thank you. And if you have any questions, obviously just hit me up.
Oh, you know.
I'm here all day.
Mm-hmm.
The first part I want to go back to 2 or 3 episodes when you mentioned, right, don't come all this way for nothing. You already got the pain. Learn from it. Use it. Create from it. You're already feeling it. You're already experiencing it. So I sat down and realized one of the best ways for anyone to share their message is through vulnerability, right? So when you're talking about email marketing, connecting with your customers, being with your customers, a lot of businesses forget that their customers are humans. And all of their customers are not only humans, but they're humans with emotions, with stories, with fears, with regrets. And the more relatable you become as a human, the more people will buy from you.
Especially if your company's named Real Life Anything.
Yeah, yeah, precisely. Thank you. And that's kind of obvious and slightly hilarious. I didn't put that together.
But that's why you even named it that.
Right.
Because this is a powerful message for you.
Right. So that vulnerability, that transparency got me to coming up with 5 or 6 different emails. And this is very frequently called a drip campaign. So a drip campaign is over time, you send out one email, they read it, there's another email, you read it, there's another email. And at the end, there's some type of ask, there's some type of offer. This particular email was the closing email. And the email subject line said, why I pooped in my pants, how I pooped in my pants, and how to avoid it. That was the subject line. And so that email had an extremely high open rate.
I bet.
Yeah, it was like 63%.
I just tried to imagine my follower base, how would they would react.
Right. So again, keep in mind, this wasn't the first email.
Yeah.
So I warmed them into how.
Still, how would they react if I wrote the same thing? But keep going.
Warmed them into
I'll
it.
have to try it.
Yeah,
we all have a poop pants story.
I did not know this until you and I started having conversations. I shared mine, that there were some of the people in the.
Mine is not getting shared in this season.
No, absolutely not. Maybe next season. But there are some other stories that we've heard and from other people that was really, really cool. Shout out to Marco. And. And so what we're talking about is everyone does have a story, but now you become relatable as a consumer. So let's just pick a random industry, totally random. Let's say that you own clothing wear.
Yeah.
And you want to sell more clothes to your customers, obviously. You should start by telling stories, numerous stories of how other clothes made you feel uncomfortable. And if you're selling ladies' clothing wear, talk about a boob slip story, right? So wearing something happened. If you're selling guys' clothing, tell a story about how it was unstainable or you spilled something and this just rolled off and didn't get stained. And so, wow, I need to come up with something now and build a type of material. Share vulnerable stories and share those stories and let people know how they can take that information and progress with it. First email was me talking about my history, my past, my interpretation and relationship with money, being what my dad referred to as a penny wise and a dollar foolish. All right, that was email number 1. 2, 3, 4. And this 5th email was the poopy pants story. And I just walked individuals through a very, very graphically written description of what happened.
Dang.
And all the pain and all the frustration and all the turmoil that came from it. Now, the ask at the end of this email was very simply, if you want to avoid blowing up your trading account like I blew up, right?
Pants.
Click here. Let's talk about it. And let me go through this program. And that email campaign ultimately ended up creating a $3 million revenue generation.
Wow.
Just from building trust over that emails. And that sequence is still used. It's something that I think worked extremely well. And most of my business, most of my revenue, I would say 98% to date of all the money that I've made from a business standpoint, I've made very little income from marketing on like Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or whatever. I've made some for sure, hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 or 2 million, not a lot. But all my really, really good campaigns have come from email campaigns,
Amazing.
email marketing.
Wow.
Just sharing vulnerabilities, sharing stories, even if it's a small thing throughout a given day that you wouldn't imagine is any type of relevancy. Perfect example. I've told her to do this, but my wife at one point in time fell off of a dock.
Gosh, so funny.
When she was all dolled
I
up.
have a video.
We're about to go out to dinner and we're going to do the whole thing. And all the ladies are gorgeous. And she literally fell into the ocean water
Yeah.
in her dress.
Yeah.
And I've told her, I was like, babe, you've got to use that story
So good.
about women bonding.
She needs to use a video too.
She should definitely 100%. So share, babe. I was like, share that story and talk about women bonding and friendship and reliability and trust and accidents and gravity and communication. I was like, there's so much in every single situation. So the reason I'm going through all this detail is because for those who are listening, my entrepreneurs or my intrapreneurs or my business owners, or even if you're a customer and you want to do one of these things, especially if you're in sales, people will buy from you if they trust you more. And every single instance throughout a day can be used for content. One of the guys I learned this from, his name is Jesse Itzler. He is a master of this. So that's Sarah.
And he's funny.
Yeah, he is very funny.
It helps if you're funny.
Yeah, it does. But he does it perfectly. So if he eats a bad banana, boom, he can write an email about that and do a Facebook post. There's an acronym out there, ladies and gentlemen, called COPE, Create Once, Publish Everywhere. So if you have one instance of your day where you're like, wow, this is really fascinating. This one small thing happened and it doesn't seem like it's meaningful, but I'm going to force myself to get creative and think about how this one interaction with a water bottle or a shoe or the lights coming on at 3 a.m. randomly in my room because there's a ghost in there. Whatever these instances occur, take that, force yourself to get creative and really kind of come up with a story that will allow your customers to understand who you are as a person.
Wow.
And really link those two things to a business, to a purchase, to an idea, to a belief, to a creation, something.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good. You said 98% of your business income comes from your email campaigns.
Yeah.
And so that's you writing all of them? Or are you telling a story to somebody who then writes them?
Great question. So as of now, yes, most of my emails, I have someone who helps write for me.
Right.
Normally what I'll do is I'll voice transcribe.
Mm-hmm.
And so her name is Arabia. Shout out to Arabia.
Arabia.
And I'll get on my phone and I'll go, hey, Arabia, here's what I'm trying to think. I would like an email that says something like this. And I'll just kind of go through it. A great example, about 3 months ago, first time I ever got my shoes polished.
Mm-hmm.
So you see the guys when they're doing the shoes and you're right. I didn't know that would be such a unique event for me. When I say unique event, that was a judgment that I placed on people when I would walk by. Internally, my brain would go, look at these rich a-holes getting their shoes cleaned. I was like, who has that kind of time and money? Unbelievable. Now, that was a mental judgment that I would just pass
Judgy
on these people.
McGee.
Yeah, dude, Judgy McGee for sure.
Yeah.
And so I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. I'm judging people based on some random limiting belief that I have somewhere in my body. So I need to go do this and experience it. And it did feel very awkward. I'm sitting here. There's an amazing gentleman cleaning my shoes. And when the people walk by, they look at me and they're staring. Yeah. They're like, who is this guy getting his shoes cleaned? I was like, what? Oh my God, there's so much judgment up here. Because you're on a throne and there's a person at your
You're
feet.
on a throne. Yes.
You're literally on a throne. There's a person at your feet. And it makes everything kind of feel.
So how did you turn that into an email?
Yeah. So that next day, I messaged Arabia. I was like, hey, Arabia, let me talk about the fear of making things uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, me being there, getting my shoes cleaned. But secondly, how are you uncomfortable investing in the market? How are you uncomfortable opening up a broker?
Way to pull some meaning out of that one.
Yeah,
that's
thanks.
good.
Thank you. But that's the beautiful part about it is force yourself, and almost every day you can have instances. Every single person listening to this, every one of you has something that you can sit down and go, oh, here it is. Once you write that email, then you have text that you can copy and paste and put on Facebook. You have something you can copy and paste and put on Twitter. Then you have things you can put on Instagram. You can have stories. You can have images, videos, all kinds of content. Create once, publish everywhere. And so that was a really, really beautiful, but true and transparent piece of marketing, again, that just went out to my email list. And a lot of times what happens is people will share my emails. They'll send it to other people because sometimes they're generally funny.
Yeah.
And I started, for a long time. I wrote every single piece of content that went out.
Wow.
And now I have someone that can help me with it.
Where do you find these people? Where can one find an email copyright or a copywriter?
That's a very good question. So
that gets you, is still your voice. Like, what's a good place for people to find?
If you're listening to this and you're really, really good at email copying, right, reach out and reach out to Britt. And for me, what it did is I worked with Arabia. Arabia specifically was one of my coaching students. She's someone that I worked with. We worked together a lot.
Yeah.
And she's so cool, by the way. Anyway, she knows my voice. I also would write emails for her initially and say, hey, read this over and let me know what you think about it. So it took time sharpening that sword. So for her to kind of find my voice and find my flow.
Guys, what he's giving is a huge pro tip.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they feel like they have to do everything. Right. And, well, they'll just never get it right. They'll never this. But he's taking the time to mentor the people who work with you instead of saying, she sucks. She's never going to get it.
Right.
Like, no, here's what I love. Here's what can be improved. Here's what I would never really say something like that. And one of the things I tell my staff is, hey, instead of hearing me as a micromanager and somebody who's just you're going to have to change everything for anyway, so why try? That's the wrong lesson. Understand that the first 3 months that you work with me, I am going to give you so much grace and understand you don't know all of the ways in which we do everything. There's only so long we can onboard you. So I'm going to be all up on what you're doing, and or your manager will be all up on what you're doing to like help you. We've got the training wheels on. We're taking the time to mentor you. But after those 3 months, like we're expecting you to get it. But if you are doing a half a job and expecting me to just fix everything, that's, again, the opposite of what you need to do. You need to try your best every time to where there's minor tweaks, no adjustments, but you also can't be offended when there is, because I may not have even told you in full clarity exactly what I want this entire thing to look like. And so found some people that take it personally, they're just not coachable, but you have to also tell them you're taking the time to coach them. You're taking the time to mentor them.
And since this is Broke to Woke in true Broke to Woke fashion, another pro tip, a lot of businesses struggle at getting emails. And there are so many ways to get loads of emails, but would you like to know one that's free, easy, fast, and very effective?
What do you mean struggles to get emails?
Struggles to add people, add customers to their list.
Got it. To build out their own email base
list. To build out their list, There are hundreds of thousands of emails readily available on LinkedIn.
What?
Yeah, LinkedIn. People put their phone number, last name, first name, and email, because it's LinkedIn. That's a place where people go to conduct business. And on their profiles, openly, they will post their emails. And
did you have to go through one by one?
Yeah. So you're going to pay probably a VA or a virtual assistant to do that, right? Generally, what you'll do is you'll go into your connections, or you'll go into other people's connections, go through, and then obviously just message that person. It's called a cold email outreach. And very frequently, what I'll do in that is I'll put a subject line, something like, you'll never believe this, but, and then in the email or the message I'll send them, I'll do a video, right? So, hey, Rockstar, semi-vague. It's Newsome. Hope you're doing awesome. Here's something I want to reach out to you and ask you about, whatever. And that email is when I'll send, generally personally via Gmail. So it'll be from my personal Gmail, not my CRM, not my mass automation emails. Then if that person replies, I know that their email is real, and now I have permission to email them. Once that happens, I put them in my database.
Wow.
And I've probably done that truly with 30,000 emails over the last 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of people listening, they most likely, I think, would benefit from 30,000 emails, because now let's just do some super quick math as this episode progresses.
Yeah, I love the math.
If you have 30,000 emails of people that you've messaged, contacted in some form or fashion, they know who you are, and you send out, hey, would you like to come to dinner with me? It's only $25 and we're going to raise money for whatever. Out of 30,000 people, 400 will say yes. And then out of the 400 to say yes, 25 will show up. That email is going to cost you, what, $8 to send to 30,000 people? Very, very cheap. And you're going to have 25 people out of that 30,000. So it's usually like 0.01% of all emails should have a strong person following up on that call to action. And another time it can be, hey, come join me for this free webinar. So for example, today, I know you know this, but I had one of the biggest webinars of my career. and we had hundreds of people show up. And I've been sending out emails for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
And we've done this before as well, but you host free emails, free webinars. People come to the webinar, they interact with you, and then you provide them some type of really, really strong value. And then you ask, hey, would you like to create revenue transaction with me? Right? Do you want to swap money? Do you want to buy into this? Do you want to do this? Invest in this? It's a great way. And if you get 10,000 emails, 10,000 people that follow you on Twitter, 10,000 Facebooks, Instagrams, whatever, once you reach 10,000 on whatever platform where you can connect with people immediately, that is when you can become financially free.
Wow.
That's all you need, 10,000. Yeah.
That's huge.
So big goal for those who are listening. Make sure you get there. It's extremely easy to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It takes probably 3 to 4 years, starting from zero and just reaching out and collecting emails and chatting with people on all types of platforms. Google is also your best friend. There's tons of ways to get companies, right? You go to, I'll pick a huge company, Hershey's, Pepsi. You can go to Hershey's, Pepsi, click on About Us, click on Career Portal, click on Who We Are, and they're going to list tons of employees higher up and phone number, name, email.
Any other tips on not just getting unsubscribed from or deleted immediately? Because we've all get so much junk mail.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And you never want to be the junk mail.
Correct.
So what are some tips on people actually creating value versus just buy my thing?
Bingo. That is it. Do not have many offers in your email. Right? I do not have a lot of call to actions in my email. Most of my emails, I just get people to open it and click on something, but that clicking thing is free. There's nothing at the cost. So it's either a webinar, it's a video. So imagine if I go, hey, guys, I just listened to a song that changed my life forever. Would you like to check it out? Here it is. Boom. Now, when they click that link, they're going to get in the habit of clicking this email. Something opens, and now I'm not asking for anything. There's no paywall. They're going to get comfortable understanding that I'm just trying to give them value. The Gary Vaynerchuk method is give, ask, essentially, or jab, 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 punch, whatever it's called.
Right hook.
You want to add value. I generally like to tell people who are email marketing, only send 1 email a day, max. I prefer 3 to 5 well-crafted emails per week, 3 to 5. That's it. But you do want to continue to be in front of your customers. Absolutely. Don't go dry. Every single day, try to take something that you've learned. And if one thing stands out, take it, make it into a meaningful email, write it up, send it out to your list.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So even with 3 to 5 emails per week, people aren't unsubscribing like crazy. That's not too much.
No, that's because they're going to open 1, maybe 2.
Was your Poopy Pants McGee email your number 1 most opened email?
Oh, no. It wasn't my number 1 most opened email.
I want to know what your number 1 was.
Oh, that's a great question. I would have to probably research it so I don't randomly answer a question that's not accurate, but I think I could probably give you probably a top 5.
Top 5,
biggest
go.
One. The top 5 biggest one was my number 1 mistake in my life. That was the subject line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was when I talked about getting married early.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that taught me so much, right? Essentially saying this was an email campaign for one of my men's groups that I run, right? The men healing work that I do. Essentially saying, listen, if you're in a relationship that's terrible, if it's going down in flames, it's probably your fault. Here's how you can fix it. Here's some things to do.
Right.
And here's the experience, gentlemen. I'm not talking like I failed miserably.
Yeah.
I broke someone's heart.
Had your clothes burned.
Yeah. I broke hearts. I entered terrible agreements. I did awful things. I wrote really bad contracts with really bad people and just wasn't good. So I did it from a place of transparency, of truthfulness, and that's a very, very highly opened email.
Nice.
Definitely top 5.
Wow. Amazing.
I think it was a 83% open email rate.
Well,
extremely high.
That's amazing. Yeah. 83?
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that. That's crazy. Well, for our listeners, I'm sure you got pages and pages of notes like I did. So much valuable content coming out of this guy teaching you how to create valuable content. In the next episode, I'm going to be sharing some valuable content about real estate investing. If you're so interested, we're going to talk about the 9 types of houses not to buy.
There's 9?
9 at least.
Good grief. They're probably going to want to stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Let's face it, men are pack animals, and we have to heal together. The best way for men to heal is once we are broken, we are in pieces, and we get reassembled by someone who knows exactly how to piece those parts back together. In my men's program, I'm going to be working with you, my man, to change your life, to heal your soul, to reconnect your relationships, and to really start calming down that anger, that rage monster that lives inside of you, using that energy to become a force for good, powerful, incredible man for your family, for your wife, for your children, and for your legacy. It's time to step up, to be incredible. Pop over to broketoawoke.com, check out more information below where you can join my men's program and finally get true revitalization of your spirit.